Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky last made his position clear in recent EU talks.
We
will not continue the transit of Russian gas. We will not give them the opportunity to earn additional billions on our blood. Any country in the world that could receive something cheap from Russia, in the end, tomorrow, in a month, in a year, will become dependent on the Russian Federation. This is their policy. That's why we won't transit Russian gas anymore.
The grass always suffers. I do not want Slovakia to be such grass, as we see these days when the transit of gas through Ukraine is stopped, which will have drastic impacts on all of us in the European Union, but not on the Russian Federation.
Ukraine has stopped the transit of Russian gas through its territory after a contract with Moscow expired. The pipeline was one of the last routes delivering Russian gas to Europe, supplying Slovakia and also Hungary, two countries that have maintained close ties with Russia despite its invasion of Ukraine. Now, Kyiv had made it clear that it would not renew the deal in the interests of national security and as a way of dealing a blow to Moscow. But Russia says Ukraine has shot itself in the foot.
We did not terminate the contract. They said that would not extend it. If that's what they want, so be it. They are hand-fed by Europe. Because, like I said, without European support, Ukraine not only is not able to battle, but cannot exist in general. And now, Ukraine punishes Europe by shutting down the transit contracts.
This is what it looks like out in the field. The pressure gauge stands at 0, no gas flowing here. Ukraine is giving up some $800 million a year in fees from Russia, while Gazprom will lose close to $5 billion in gas sales to Europe. As for Europe, most EU countries haven't bought Russian gas since the war began. Hungary, Slovakia, the Czech Republic and Austria continue to receive Russian gas via the Turk Stream pipeline on the bed of the Black Sea. The halting of supplies via Ukraine is, however, a major blow to Moldova. The country says it can't replace Russian deliveries through Ukraine and will have to reduce its gas use by at least a third.
Russian gas is still flowing into Europe. It's just doing it, one, through Turk Stream, or two, as LNG. And Europe has increased by about 20% its LNG imports from Russia since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And so, one, as those aren't sanctioned by the European Union, there's always the possibility that LNG imports increase further. That will be a bit difficult for Slovakia because the LNG terminals, for the most part, don't make that an easy transport option. But I think what we're seeing from Slovakia is mostly bluster at this point. The EU is quite well prepared for this winter. It does have quite a lot of gas in storage, mostly in Ukraine, which has 32 BCM of Europe's energy storage capacity, gas storage capacity. So I don't think this is going to be an immediate hit. And I think what we'll see is that Europe has the ability to prepare for next winter and continue its energy transition policies.
It's being called energy blackmail. In 2022, this was Putin's ultimate weapon. He used gas money to bankroll his invasion. He also used it as leverage against Europe. But 3 years later, it's not as effective. Europe has moved away from Russian gas, and Moscow has not been able to find alternative buyers. Unlike oil, you cannot just pack up gas into containers and ship them. You either need direct pipelines to transport gas, or you must convert the gas into liquid form and then ship it. It's very expensive and time-consuming. India, for example, buys a lot of Russian oil, but very little Russian gas. So Putin's energy threats are not as deadly as they used to be. Luckily for him, he's ahead on the battlefield, and with Donald Trump's help, he may not need energy blackmail.